Holly Bennett is in Dublin, preparing to take down a derelict building, the 17-storey McDonough apartment tower.
I don't really think about being the only woman. It's more about what type of person you are if you can do the job. I don't think it's a male-female thing at all.
Holly didn't design this blast plan, but she has set it in motion. She's ordered the explosives and hired the workers who have weakened the walls, removed the asbestos and drilled over 4,000 holes.
It's been really quite difficult, to be honest with you. The lads have been working non-stop. And it's just been tough in every respect, really. It's not easy to organise an explosives demolition in 4 weeks.
Blasters are the managers on a job site.
Are you dating him as well? Or do you want me to come up?
Holly's in charge of 40 people, and if they're not working, she's not happy. Today, the crane operators are staging an impromptu strike that could cost Holly hundreds of hours in lost labour.
We're here to get our wages. We're owed back money and wages, and we haven't been paid yet.
Holly pulls some strings, and in less than 90 minutes, the crisis is over, and the job site bustles again. Good job too. Her senior colleagues Mick Williams, Phil Lowe and Dick Green are here, following on from their successful job in Jordan. Without them, this blast can't happen. There's too much work for one person to oversee it safely.
Yeah, that's right. And then we should have 240, 4.8 eclipse. Yeah. 4 stars. That's it.
Holly's been in the demolition trade for 9 years, having worked her way up from humble beginnings.
At Controlled, I was the office junior, believe it or not. I worked in the office making tea, that kind of thing, and then made an off-the-cuff remark about wanting to be an explosives engineer. The more people that laughed at me because I'd said it, the more determined I was to do it. Get them outside.
Every blast has its complications. The most common one is neighbouring buildings, and that applies here in Dublin.
It is incredibly close to the Axis Centre. It's only 8 metres away.
The McDonough Tower block is constructed of large panels. The panels could break away during the collapse and come to rest on the outer edge of the debris pile. If that were to happen, the debris pile itself would become unstable and sliding panels could crash into the glass-fronted convention centre.
We've had to put protection in place in the form of steel containers with rubble inside to ballast them.
For the apartment building to collapse safely, the 4,000 individual charges that Holly's team are installing will have to go off at precise intervals. The building is, in essence, 2 separate structures that share a common wall. The plan is to demolish the supporting walls and columns on the lower levels of this side first. When it begins to drop, the other half of the building should lean in slightly, filling the void. Then, less than 1 second after the first round of explosions, the charges sealed into the foundation of this side will go off. In theory, the entire building will then fall away from the convention centre. 20 years ago, blasters used copper wiring and explosions were set off by an electrical charge.
Hello?
Mobile phones put an end to that. They can create static electricity, inadvertently triggering a charge.
Well, the entire system that we use is non-electric. These tubes that you see here are literally plastic tubes. Using a totally non-electric system like this is really the only way you can do things these days.
It's just 18 hours until the scheduled blast.
I think it's done. There's only 3 holes on stairwell to do.
As some workers secure a skin of protective geotech fabric around the floors, other crew members put finishing touches on the defensive shield, packing hay bales in between the shipping containers and the convention centre. Inside, Mick Williams sorts out the last bits of wiring. He's tired, but pleased with the state of things.
So you got this total block ready in 4 weeks, which is usually about a 9 or 10 week job. So they've had it pretty rough, but they've done a cracking job.
The structure is finally packed with explosives. Mick begins cordoning off the exclusion zone.
Just push it out a little bit.
Every worker on site has been ordered to leave the zone. The ones required for the blast will come back at 6 in the morning.
He's going back in today either.
The next day, the first person who tries to get into the exclusion zone isn't a blaster, but a reveller from an all-night party, trying to find his way home. Mick and Holly arrive on site and get to work. The first order of business is to establish the full exclusion zone.
We need barriers leaving here to shut this road.
Traffic was allowed through overnight, but now no civilian can come close to the doomed apartment building.
No.
Holly leads security workers to the area they'll be guarding.
The footpath stays open anyway, but the road obviously is closed. So if you just stay here for now, I'll give you a shout over the radio when it's time.
All right.
Her colleagues, Phil and Dick, go inside the building to make sure nothing's happened to the connections overnight.
That's what I'm just checking for on that.
Outside, Mick is told by his security team that the Dublin police are ordering the exclusion zone barricades to be taken down.
The guards have these closed off. They're police points
Are they
only.
not police point?
These two here. Yeah.
Are these not police points?
No.
With traffic rushing past, Mick will need to get assertive.
All our meetings have said these roads close from 8 o'clock. I'm going to get these road close signs up now so nobody comes in. But they must not allow any traffic in that way.
Mick has been blasting buildings for 25 years, and he knows that it's possible for debris to shoot far from an explosion. If the exclusion zone doesn't remain as wide as originally planned, he will refuse to go ahead with the blast.
Well, that's been drawn up for like 2 months or he's no changing it now.
Satisfied that the police are finally fulfilling their agreement, Mick prepares to connect the main trunk line. The blast is on.
Everything's in, not missed anything. So, all ready to go.
But when he comes out, the blast is off. Mick abandons the line and heads to the other side of the building to deal with a breach of security.
What they're after doing there is to jump the barrier.
By the time he finds out what's going on, it's all over.
Yeah, the 2 people have been arrested.
Mick returns to help Phil sort out the main trunk line.
Road's clear anyway, isn't it? That?
Oh, yeah, no problem.
The exclusion zone is secure at last. The crowd is anxious. The button is hooked up and ready to push. Then, unbelievably, security is breached again. Someone has been spotted inside the convention centre. Once again, the blast is off.
Holly, have you checked with the security that's up there?
Holly and Mick go and check themselves. With the crowd and crew waiting, the convention centre is methodically searched.
Why do they bother having coordination meetings?
When no one turns up, the blast is back on.
Are we starting again?
Yes. Go for half past.
And Mick is eager to push the button before anything delays them further. But when his colleague, Big Dave, tries to fire the warning flare, he can't get it lit. He can't even get his cigarette lit.
How else can go wrong?
Only one other thing can go wrong: the blast itself. But the blast is the only thing Mick has any real faith in. When it's finally safe, he has Holly count down.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
As the crowd roars its approval, Big Dave heads towards the convention centre to assess the results.
Fantastic job, absolutely fantastic. I mean, these guys have done miracles here, and to get this down in 4 weeks is unbelievable. We've cracked one window, unfortunately. I ain't the end of the world. Definitely on this job.
Can't ask for anything better than that.
Walking away, this experienced team of blasters can feel satisfied with a job well done.